Have you ever wondered if the secret to a long, happy life could be boiled down to just one single idea? Well, today, we're diving into the Japanese concept of Ikigai. We're going to break down what it is and maybe even see how it could change the way you think about your own life.
Our journey starts on the Japanese island of Okinawa. You may have heard of it. It's one of the world's blue zones. These are rare spots on the globe where people live exceptionally long, healthy lives. And for decades, scientists have been trying to figure out, what is their secret?
And get this, for every 100,000 people living in Okinawa, almost 25 of them are over the age of 100. That is way, way higher than pretty much anywhere else. We're not just talking about a few lucky people here. This is a genuine phenomenon.
So what's going on? The obvious answers come to mind pretty quickly. A super healthy diet, lots of time outside, green tea, a nice warm climate. And yeah, all of those things definitely play a part. But researchers are pretty convinced that the real key to their longevity is something else entirely, something much deeper.
And that brings us to the heart of this whole mystery. See, the answer isn't just about what the people of Okinawa do every day, it's about their reason for doing it. It all comes down to the why.
And that secret? Well, it has a name, Ikigai. The word is made up of two Japanese characters, Iki meaning life, and Gai, which means to be worthwhile. So you could translate it as a reason for being, or a bit more poetically, the happiness of always being busy.
This famous Venn diagram is probably the best way to understand it. Your Ikigai is right there in the middle, at the intersection of four really important questions. What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what can you be paid for? That sweet spot where your passion, your mission, your job, and your calling all overlap, that's it. That's your Ikigai.
To put it as simply as possible, your Ikigai is your purpose. It's not some big abstract philosophy. It's the very concrete, very real reason you get out of bed every single morning. And for the Okinawans, this powerful sense of purpose is the engine that drives their long and joyful lives.
Okay, so we get what Ikigai is, but how do you find it? And maybe more importantly, how do you actually live it day to day? Let's take a look at how this idea gets put into practice.
This Japanese proverb really hits the nail on the head. A huge part of Ikigai is just staying active. In fact, there isn't really a word in Japanese that means retire in that Western sense of just stopping work for good. Instead, the idea is to keep doing what you love for as long as you possibly can.
But Ikigai doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's really supported by an entire lifestyle. The Okinawans have a few core principles. First, a clear purpose, of course, but also a strong community, which they call a moai for social support. Their diet follows a rule called hara hachibu, which just means eat until you're about 80% full. They also cultivate a calm, stoic mindset to handle stress. And finally, they integrate gentle, constant movement into their everyday lives.
Let's just zoom in on that moai idea for a second. It's basically a tight-knit social circle, a group of friends who are committed to looking out for each other for their entire lives. They meet up regularly, they support each other emotionally, and sometimes even financially. Imagine having that kind of built-in support system. It's an incredibly powerful way to reduce stress.
And this is where the Ikigai lifestyle is like a direct counterpunch to the modern world. Think about our ancestors. They dealt with short, intense bursts of stress, like running from a tiger. But us, we live with this constant, low-level hum of stress. A phone notification, a work email, our brain actually reacts to those things like they're a predator. We're getting these steady drips of stress hormones all day long, and it just wears us down. An Ikigai lifestyle, with its focus on purpose and community, is the perfect antidote.
So, how can we bring some of this into our own lives? Well, one of the most powerful ways to actually experience your Ikigai every day is to find a state of what's called flow.
You've probably felt this before, even if you didn't have a name for it. Flow is that feeling of being completely in the zone. You're so absorbed in what you're doing that nothing else matters. Time seems to disappear, you forget about yourself, and you just become one with the task. It's where we often do our best work and, honestly, find our greatest joy.
So how do we find it? This little chart explains the flow channel perfectly. Think about it. If a task is too easy for your skill level, you just get bored or feel apathetic. But if it's way too hard, you get anxious. Flow happens right in that sweet spot, where a high challenge meets your high skill. The task pushes you to the very edge of your abilities, but not over it. And the gateway to that state?
It's surprisingly simple, but also incredibly hard in our world today. It's single tasking. Multitasking is the absolute enemy of flow. When we think we're doing a bunch of things at once, we're really just bouncing between them, and we never get to fully engage with anything.
So here's a little playbook for how to find your flow. First, pick a task that's a challenge, but you know you can do it. Second, make sure you have a really clear goal. And third, and this is the big one for most of us, be ruthless about getting rid of distractions. Turn off your phone. Close the extra tabs. Give the task your undivided attention. You could even try something like the Pomodoro technique. Focus hard for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. It really works.
And this is where everything really clicks into place. When you combine your why, your Ikigai, with the daily practice of how, which is finding your flow, you create this incredibly powerful engine for a meaningful life.
The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche summed it up perfectly. He said, "He who has a why to live for can bear with almost any how." When you have a strong Ikigai, a powerful why, you build the resilience to handle just about anything life throws at you. And that, really, is the ultimate lesson from Okinawa.
So we'll end with a question, but it's not for the people of Okinawa. This one is for you. What's at the center of your own Venn diagram? What is it that you love, that you're good at, that the world needs, and that you can be valued for? What is your reason for getting up in the morning? What is your Ikigai?